salute and all the honors. And I think that was very important for the Philippine audience to see.
Philippine President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. just wrapped up his 3-day state visit to China, a trip China expects will usher in a new golden age of bilateral ties. While meeting Chinese President Xi Jinping, President Marcos Jr. said, according to a readout from the Chinese side, China is the strongest partner of the Philippines and nothing can hold back the continuation and development of bilateral friendship, and that he will be opening a new chapter in our comprehensive strategic cooperation. So what was discussed between leaders from both sides during the visit? What has been achieved through the visit for both countries and the region? What about maritime disputes that have been a source of difference standing in the way?
Magandang araw Pilipinas at sa lahat ng mga kababayan natin sa buong mundo, kumusta ho kayo? Ito tayo pag-uusapan ang pagdalaw ng ating Pangulo sa China. Ito siya ang first state guest ng China sa 2023. Imagine that. Ito ho, merong connection doon sa mga prior video natin kung yung mga statement na binitawan niya rito na malulutong. Kaya pag-usapan ho natin yan. Konektado ho doon sa mga nabanggit ko na video noon tungkol sa relasyon natin sa China, relasyon natin sa United States. So, at saka very prominent sa pinag-uusapan nila yung renewable energy. Tsaka of course, yung pagkakasunduan dito sa joint exploration sa West Philippine Sea. So, malaki ang kaugnayan nito, hindi lang sa trade, foreign policies, kundi sa energy. So, stick around ho at pag-uusapan natin. Ito yung interview niya sa isang prominent media sa China, CTGN. So, humiram ho tayo ng video nila. Panoorin natin.
Your administration said your visit will set a tone for China-Philippines relations in the next 5-6 years. What kind of tone do you think has been set? What is the most important outcome of your trip?
I think gives us further opportunities to strengthen our relations here. And I think what difficulties there might be present with the territorial claims in the South China Sea. I think we are good friends, China and the Philippines. And these things happen between even good friends. But good friends stay good friends, even if we have these problems. And good friends talk about the problems and resolve them in a nice and equitable and to find a way that is mutually beneficial to both countries. And that's the way I see it is going. And the groundwork, the foundation that has been laid, that was laid since 1974 and subsequently with my father coming, the actual formalization of diplomatic relations. I think to see how the groundwork that laid down is a very solid foundation on which we continue to build. And that's, I think, the future for the Philippines and China.
Yeah, you talk about the importance.
Yeah. So, equitable and mutually beneficial for both parties. You know, I'm starting to see na, see President PBM is really had a good interest in protecting the country's interest. The likelihood of him being influenced by others na mababraso siya, I think is there's a good indication here sa mga binibitawan niyang salita. Although, it could backfire dahil alam natin na merong malaking country na doesn't want those kind of talk, from other leaders. But he has to stand ground. So, and he's trying to be careful, pero may mga statement siya na malaman na, kumbaga, no? So, but anyway, I like that. Meron siyang pinaparinigan diyan yung mga ganyang approach na sabi niya dapat hindi ganyan, kumbaga, or ganyan ang gusto niya.
Importance of sticking with bilateral consultations. You're not a big fan of outside intervention, and you said, and I quote, the problems are with us and China. If the Americans come in, it is bound to fail.
Okay, so ayan sila na mismo bumanggit, ano. Oh, he's not a big fan of foreign intervention at binanggit na nilaglag na ang Amerika because we all know, like sabi ni President Duterte noon nung inabot na sa kanya yung US aid or ready na ibigay yung US aid, sabi niya, no, I don't want the US aid. I am not accepting that because it has a lot of strings attached. So ito yung aking experience, ano, lumaki ako, pinanganak at lumaki sa Pilipinas. I grew up in a community na mix. May mga kapitbahay kami noon na mga mayayaman na inchik. I've been friends with many of them. I haven't seen them in a while nung umalis na ako, pero I know they're still in business at hindi ito ordinaryong negosyante na meron lang maliit na restaurant. These are multi-millionaires. They own factories. They own store chains, grocery chains. So hindi ito yung mga ordinaryo lang. But I'm friends with their kids, you know, and I've seen them, you know, do business. They're good at business, you know, and they're shrewd in business like many others. There's nothing wrong with it as long as hindi sila nang lalamang, but I'm not saying they don't, but there are times that they do. The Pilipinas the same thing. But what I notice is sa Pilipinas noon at na-involve ako sa politics, I've been an outsider within the walls. During panahon ni President Ramos, I was part doon sa think tank niya. I was you know, joining the conversation. I'm not part of the conversation, but I'm there kasi naging assistant ako ng isa sa head think tank niya. So I was young then. And then nung pumunta na ako ng United States, I noticed the difference in the politics, and I've studied kasi meron na akong konting background, so I have the yung interest to learn a little bit more, and that's what I found out na, you know, ang US pagpupunta mag-o-offer ng tulong sa isang bansa based on the policy and approach is okay, so congratulations, ikaw na yung presidente, tutulungan ka namin, pero ito dapat ang gawin mo. That's the approach. The China, I've never seen that. I think the China, how they do it, and merong evidence ito recently, which is in Africa. Kaya ang Africa, yung alliances sa China had grown much more stronger. Tapos nagdi-distance sila sa United States. Kaya pinatawag ni Biden yung mga members ng Africa, pinapunta rito sa Africa, sa Amerika. Kunwari may bibigay siyang assistance, which is $50 billion for the next 5 years. So, or 3 years, the next 3 years na matatapos na yung kanyang term. Kaya sabi ng Africa, akala niya napakalaki ng tulong niya sa amin. Pagkalaki-laki ng Africa, that's like 1.4 billion population, the Union of Africa. Tapos offer mo na ganyan. Samantala ang Ukraine, nagbigay ka ng $100+ billion in less than a year. So, you know, makikita nila, and then sasabihin kasi nila doon, okay, this is what we want you to do with that money. Ang China, I think they do it differently. Nung kinancel nila yung utang ng Africa, the approach was like, okay, we see that you have a problem. Tell us more about your problem and let us know what kind of help you need, and we'll tell you what kind of help we can give you. You know, so yun yung mutually beneficial and equitable, you know. Siyempre, China, hindi naman magsasabi na, tutulungan ka namin, bibigyan ka namin ng pera, tapos bahala ka na. No, of course, they have to discuss, no, kung ano. But they're not gonna tell them na ito dapat ang gusto namin gawin ninyo. But, you know, we're gonna assist you in that progress. So, in a way, ito yun, okay, pakinggan natin ulit.
Can you elaborate your thinkings behind the statement?
I said that at the point where we were having discussions with China, those in 2 previous administrations, and it was the Americans offered to be the third party between China and the Philippines. And I said, that's not going to succeed. because you're a party in interest. It has to be between the Philippines and China. It can involve ASEAN, because ASEAN, of course, is part. But it has to be someone from the region who has an interest in Asia Pacific. And I think that statement has now evolved into the thinking that the future of the Asia Pacific region must be decided by the Asia Pacific region.
So yung last statement niya, it has to be decided with the Asia Pacific region. Masakit sa tenga ni Uncle Sam yan. So hopefully they will have a means to mitigate ang approach nito, dahil we know gagawa ng kalokohan ito mga puti. Parating ganyan yan eh. Gagawa ng issue yan. So I guess in the beginning akala nila kontrolado nila ang politics ngayon dahil wala na si Duterte. Sakit sa ulo nila si Duterte noon eh. Ay, nandito si BBM. So, pero iba na yung statement na binabitawan ng BBM. So, I like that. Matapang. Kaya lang, we have to be careful dahil, man, kung maintindihan lang natin lahat kung gaano ang galawan ng mga puti, man, marirealize mo, you know, katulad ng ako nandito ako ngayon. Kailangan ko nang mag-isip-isip dahil nakita ko na kung anong nangyayari dito. Hindi masaya at hindi safe ang nangyayari ngayon dito sa Tati. So, I just want to share that. But I have to be careful kasi wala nang rito. Wala nang yung freedom of privacy. Wala na ngayon. Forget that. Kahit sa atin naman, pero at least sa kabundukan, hindi pa abot ng internet. Wala pa surveillance doon, ano? Pero dito, everywhere you go, you can be tracked down. So, that was very interesting interview. Very interesting interview.
You're talking about the South China Sea. It has long been a sticking point in bilateral relations, but you said repeatedly that it should not define our relationship. What is the latest regarding bilateral consultation on maritime disputes?
Well, right now we have we constantly have communication, but it is not so formalized. And that's perhaps one of the things that I would like to propose in this trip to your president. I intend to propose to bring it to a higher level so both sides have a direct conversation and a direct link to their presidents, my officials to me, and Chinese officials to the president, President Xi. And that way, we can avoid any possible misunderstandings, any possible mistakes. It is to make sure that not to aggravate the situation, but to calm things down.
So ito yung pag-usapan natin last time, yung isang video natin sa hindi panoorin niyo yung video na ginawa natin, na pinost natin tungkol dun sa nagkaroon ng nagtantrum ang mga senator natin sa Senado dahil sa yung video clip na nangyari nung ni-retrieve ng ating Coast Guard yung isang parts ng aircraft na nalaglag somewhere sa territory natin, sa maritime territory natin. Tapos naabutan ng Chinese Coast Guard at hinila nila, nag-agawan, kamuntik na magkaroon ng bakbakan, pero wala namang armed conflict doon pero instead na paimbestigahan sa DFA at magkaroon ng formal inquisition, dahil yun naman ang normal process nagtatarak ang mga senator natin at si Loren Legarda nagtantrum. We don't want any bully. Yan ang inaano niya, nag-overreact sila. Hindi man nila pinatawag yung DFA, hindi man sila nag-inquire kung ano na ang update doon, ano na pag-usapan, kung meron na napag-usapan, kung merong investigasyon. So ito yung sinasabi ni President Tito, dapat magkaroon ng direct na communication dahil minsan itong mga nasa ilalim nakakagulo, lalo na yung mga media, gagatungan nila. diyan nagsisimula ang conflict eh. Diyan nagkukos ng giyera yung mga ganyang mga issue, yung mga bulong-bulungan, tapos pinapalaki, gagatungan, gaslighting, kumbaga, no? So, meron tayong DFA kailangan kausapin mo ng DFA, kailangan mo na i-de-escalate para hindi magkaroon ng misinformation at saka miscalculation. Dahil kaya sabi ko nga noon problematic yung ginawa nila, no, na ganun ng klaseng reaction. It's very childish and unsenatorial, kumbaga, no? So, maganda itong ginawa ni Presidente na pumunta siya doon at i-brought up niya na dapat magkaroon tayo ng direct communication dahil minsan merong nagpapadala ng ganito, lalong-lalo na sa panahon ngayon, no? Yung mga media nagsasabi na yung mga netizens daw nagpapakalat ng mga misinformation, disinformation, kaya dapat i-censor. Pero ang totoo niyan, sila nagpapakalat ng misinformation at saka disinformation. Kaya nangyayari yan, no? Kaya nangyayari yung mga maling desisyon at saka yung mga tao na nadadala sila, sumusunod na lang sila sa maling desisyon dahil merong narrative at propaganda na binibitawan para masway yung desisyon ng publiko sa isang side. So, pagpatuloy natin itong interview.
Yeah, both sides expressed the willingness to jointly explore maritime resources such as natural gas and oil, but the devil is in the details, right, Mr. President? It's all in the details, and there were sticking points too. Any progress regarding maritime joint exploration on natural gas and oil, perhaps?
We are moving forward. We continue to explore what other arrangements can be made. The sticking point came simply because of the application of law, which law, the Philippine law or Chinese law will apply in the area where we are doing the exploring. I hope that can be overcome, and we can find another way so we can continue to explore the natural resources in the South China Sea together or singly or in whatever other arrangement. But it's very important, especially for the Philippines, because we are now trying to move our energy mix from traditional sources to renewables. And the interim to that is probably going to be natural gas.
Talking about geopolitics, Mr. President, there have been a number of Washington-led initiatives which Beijing considers thinly veiled China containment institutions, such as IPAF on the economic side and AUKUS and Quad on the security side. How necessary do you consider these institutions in this day and age?
Okay, bago natin pakinggan yung sagot niya rito, balikan natin yung binanggit niya, no? Mix from traditional source of energy, which is the coal, at saka yung oil na ginagawa natin. So, he's considering mix, kaya napag-usapan natin yung nuclear power plant generation, yung pagpapagana nun. And then we already have the natural gas Malampaya, but it's gonna run out soon, sabi nila, according to their estimate. So we're looking for other means na merong natural gas. And besides that, we have to understand, siya lang among the presidents, of course, including Duterte, dahil inano rin ito ni Duterte, ni-raise niya rin, but I think pinasa niya rito dahil ang interest ni BBM rito is much higher, yung sa pag-explore ng deuterium. And eventually, alam natin, pag na-explore yung deuterium, it's gonna lead to hydrogen. Okay, those are renewable. Yung napag-usapan natin sa ligwasan, yung methane gas, they're all good. Pero fossil fuel ho ang methane gas. You know, I love for them to be able to explore and utilize the methane gas. But the entire world is moving towards renewable, meaning yung mga natural na hindi nagkukos ng pollution, no? Yung methane gas, because it comes from fossil fuel, there is still a concern about the pollution. So kaya ito yung binabanggit niya. So anyway, gusto ko lang ibanggitin yon dahil talagang ini-emphasize niya na diyan ang direksyon ng Pilipinas. So yung sa mga doon nagko-comment na sana ho mangyari na ito, sana diyan ho umuusad ang agenda ng Pangulo. Kaya kailangan talaga nating suportahan, kailangan nating pag-usapan ito. Okay? So it doesn't mean na lahat kahit merong pagkakamali isuportahan. Katulad ng sinabi ko, neutral ho tayo rito, bipartisan ho tayo, no? I mean non-partisan ho tayo. Hindi ho sa pro BBM or anti BBM or Pilipino ho tayo. Yun ho ang ano natin. So anyway, yung stand natin. At least ako yun ang stand ko, no? I know my stand, I know my age, my experience. So tuloy natin yung tanong niya about geopolitics and ano sagot ng presidente natin.
Well, it's, I guess, a response from the Americans for what they see. The Philippines, again, has a very simple foreign policy. It's a foreign policy that commits itself to peace and that is guided by the national interest. And that national interest dictates that we will not allow ourselves to be drawn back into the old Cold War formula, where one has to take sides. The only side I'm on is Philippine side.
Okay, so that again is very significant, no? Yung Cold Era, Cold Conflict process. Yun yung sabi niya, hindi lalabas na tayo doon. Dapat tayo umusad sa peaceful era. Hindi katulad nung gatong-gatong na style ng foreign policy na ibang bansa. Hey, dito ka sa side namin. Kung hindi ka sa side namin, kalabang ka namin, pahihirapan ka namin, isa-sanction ka namin, hindi ka namin isasali sa trade namin, no? Hindi ka makakatanggap ng support. Yung bullying yun eh. Hegemony yun eh. Yung mga ganong approach, no? Hindi kaya ang nagkakaroon tuloy ng animosity ang iba't ibang bansa sa mga ganong klaseng foreign policy, no? So itong foreign policy ng China, let's talk about economy. Alam natin na meron tayong mga disputes in terms of territory, pero we could talk over it. Hindi yung palakihan tayo ng muscle o palakasan tayo ng putok ng armas o palakihan ng bala. Hindi yun ang point nila, no? And of course the president will say, I will be in the side of the Philippines. Siyempre, you have your president of the Philippines, but that's the statement na yung sinabi niya, yung Cold War era. Let's go past beyond that.
Fair enough.
Very simple, and I think that is a good guide. There's a very famous African saying that when the elephants fight, the only one that loses is the grass. We might be the grass. We do not want to be in that position.
Okay, so yan, napanood natin yung interview. Dito muna natin tapusin itong ating vlog at pagpatuloy natin yung about hydrogen production sa susunod na vlog. So hopefully at meron ka tayong napulot na aral at naintindihan natin yung sitwasyon and we earned some ideas kung ano ang patakbo ng ating Pangulo ngayon, and hopefully we'll continue to support everything that's good for the country. At we participate at maging proactive ho tayo katulad nung binanggit ko last time. Ang mantra natin is ask not what your country can do for you, but ask what you can do for your country. Yun yung philosophy at quote ni JFK, the late JFK. So yun ang participation natin as a Pilipino. So kita-kita ho tayo sa susunod. Hopefully you like this video, share nyo ho at subscribe na rin para doon sa mga hindi pa nakapag-subscribe para dumami ho tayo at marami tayong nag-uusap-usap dito. Okay, so ingat ho parati and blessed day.